And turn that one on. All right. Get us looking the right way.
Every week. I always tell her, let me know when she's not here. So, it's always good though, but like when she's here, it's like
all right.
extra special.
We are live on our Zoom.
How you guys doing out there? Great to see you. You guys are just kind of getting in. Really appreciate you guys giving us part of your morning here. Love to see you guys in person. So if you guys do have a chance to come into Skyline Church itself for the class, we encourage you to do so. There is a fantastic breakfast that we do here every single week. A lot of that's attributed to Marlene Corolla. We do also have Lisa Marie, we're all helping out with that as well. So I always tell people, like, come for the breakfast, but stay for the presentation. Great networking, great people. It's a really fun environment. So really encourage you guys to come on out and in person. But we appreciate all you guys logged in, watching remotely. Definitely, if you guys were checking us out on replay. But yeah, come and hang out. Come and play. It's so much better in real life than it is on camera. So look forward to seeing you guys. It's a party.
How are you today? I'm alive.
That's the way to do it.
There it is.
Be great.
Yep. Yep. Life's too short to be.
Everybody want to come down, take a seat? All right. Thank you.
And the millions watching all around the world. Okay, you turn the power on right here? Oh, yeah, thank you.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? All right?
Good.
Good. Glad to be here. Glad to come in a civil, friendly, right? Worship and talk about business. All right. All right. Let me open us up in prayer. Okay. Lord God, we just come before you this morning with joyful hearts. So glad, so happy that you're here. You're with us. You walk with us every step of the way. All we need to do is just trust in you. Take hold of you. Your right, strong hand. Thank you for this morning. Thank you for Anton. Thank you for his expertise that he's going to share with us. And we just look to you, Lord, to speak to each of us individually. And we pray in your powerful name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so this morning we have Anton speaking about how to build your brand, the biblical principles. So fasten your seatbelts because he usually talks pretty fast and covers a lot of ground.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So, if you're familiar with my presentation, you already know, as Susan so eloquently put it, a lot of information. So I suggest you sit back, buckle in, enjoy the ride, enjoy the breakfast. I mean, once again, Arlene has done it. Great back there. So if you didn't get any of that wonderful casserole before it went, that's my fault. I ate a lot. But it's great to see everybody here today. Ready? Okay. Give us 1 sec here and switch up the mics. That's okay. That's great. That's great. Okay, there we go. Everybody hear okay? Yeah. Okay, great. Hope you guys can hear okay online. So, I am the CEO of a digital marketing agency. I tend to talk a lot about digital marketing stuff. Today's going to be a little different. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about branding and more specifically, how you can improve your brand, better your brand, using some secrets from the Bible. So I'm going to thread this needle very carefully. Definitely, I've got some written notes that you guys will be able to access probably by tomorrow from the Google Drive, and then just
just enjoy the presentation for what it is. And the Bible has definitely got, some of the world's best business principles inside of it. So I'm going to mention a few specific scriptures, but obviously the Bible is full of all types of stuff that you guys can use for business. So I want to talk about branding, and more specifically premium brands. And how is it that you've got one brand that can charge $10 million for something, and other brands charge a fraction of that price? A lot of us in here as entrepreneurs, we're always trying to find that sweet spot with the pricing. You don't want to charge too much and price people out of the market, and you don't want to undervalue what you're selling. So how do you do that? How do you find that right positioning? So and if you've ever thought about this stuff, what is the difference between these brands? What makes it that these guys can charge this amount of money? And yes, sometimes it's the material, it's the service itself, but there's usually a little something more to it than that. And if you guys have, for the uninitiated, what is a brand? We talk about brand. What is a brand in the first place, right? Real good definition that I can kick you guys is, a brand is the sum of how the product or business is perceived by those who experience it. And that includes customers, investors, employees, the media, and then the public at large. Okay, so it's a little bit more than just like a name and a logo and all that stuff, but that stuff comes with it, right? So we're actually going through a bit of a brand refresh ourselves at Digital Advent. So we've got a new website we're working on. We've got some new services. We've got some new relationships and things. New logo. So these are definitely exciting times. So this is also why this subject matter kind of is at the forefront of my mind, because we're kind of going through a bunch of this ourselves. So that's also how I got to thinking about, what does the Bible say about this stuff? Because as a Christian, one of the things that I turn to the most when it comes to life in general is the Bible. What does the Word say about what I'm doing? Does it give me some direction? Kind of a true north that I should be operating from. And I'm pretty sure everybody in this room is going to appreciate these principles as well. But before I get into what the Bible really talks about branding, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what I think branding is all about. Not to say there's a big divergence, but there's some things that I'm probably going to say that the Bible doesn't want. I'm going to kick that off by asking you guys a question. So if you buy a brand new Rolls-Royce Wraith. Now, this is actually a Phantom in this picture, but this is actually one of the most expensive cars in the world. This is a gold-plated Phantom, $13.5 million. This is live linked. If you guys don't want to check out that pricing. But a Rolls-Royce Wraith, they don't make these anymore. They discontinued a year or so ago. But let's say it's about a $400,000 car. But you buy a brand new Honda Accord, okay? And that's going to go about 40 some odd thousand dollars, 44 some change, 46 for 42 for one of their higher end models. What's the difference? It's 10 times the price. Like why are you paying that much money? Are the wheels 10 times more round? Is the window 10 times clearer on what car was it? Doubt it. I guarantee those things are basically the same. So, so what are you really paying for when you're talking about paying for that difference in the price? And why is Rolls-Royce overall considered a more valuable brand? So, I'll give you guys another juxtaposition of brands. Rolex versus Timex. So, the difference between those two brands is more than just the first two letters. Okay. So, Rolex is going to go for, $60,000, $30,000, tens of thousands of dollars easily. They've got different models, but they range. But you're going to spend exponentially more for Rolex than for Timex. And these things are doing basically about the same thing. They're telling you time. Obviously, there are some differences from a mechanical perspective. There's things about the precision of their time, accuracy, plus or 2 seconds on the Rolex, power reserve. Rolex will do like 70 hours. Versus maybe 40 on a Timex, resistance to shocks, magnetic field, longevity. There's different lubricants. There's all these different things. There's something called a Yoda stutter. All that stuff comes into play when you're talking about a Rolex versus a Timex. But, for the majority of watch buyers, having a Rolex means more than just, having a quality watch. It's kind of representative of saying, I make, it's very conspicuous. If somebody's got a Rolex on, you're like, hey, that guy's a boss. That guy's somewhere in life, he's made it, right? Usually a Timex kind of says, hey, I'm frugal, right? Or if you got like a $10 Casio from the gas station, people can notice that. They're like, all right, you're not really investing in a watch. They still tell time. And most of us use our cell phones, right? We don't use watches the way we used to anymore. But most people just kind of say, hey, check your checkbook in the moment, like, hey, I got this much to throw on a watch, let me buy it and move on. Now, Rolex, the quality is worth the premium pricing, right? Like that's what most of us think about, like, oh, Rolex is so much higher quality, it's worth you paying all that money. Maybe, maybe not. That's kind of a trick question, because when you're paying for all that mechanical quality, yes, you are doing that, but when you think about Rolex, you're thinking about the R&D they put into it, the top level executives that they pay, you're talking about their brand ambassadors, they sponsor horse shows, golf tournaments, there's all this stuff that they do that Timex does. Not once are you going to see Timex branded all over the winner of Indy 500. It's not going to happen. So that's going to be Rolex at the time. So all that positioning, right? That's part of what they're doing. And of course, there's their profit, right? Like I guarantee you, they're making more for every Rolex they sell than Timex, hand over fist. So whether you pay $28 or $20,000, $200,000 for a watch, the fact of the matter is you get what you pay for, and if you look closely, you'll see it. Or not, truth be told, really a good watch gives you more than what you can see. And if we get to the bottom of that, we've gotten to the bottom of something really significant for our businesses. And I believe that a brand is more than just a name. When you think about it, when you think about, Rolls Royce, for example, what do you buy? You're buying the name and everything that comes along with that name, right? The prestige stuff, and all the other services that come along with it. You buy a Timex, what are you really buying? You're buying the name. And yes, Timex is the brand that gave us that very snappy slogan, it takes a look at and keeps on ticking. So we all know that. We use that line in a lot of different areas of life. But what usually comes to mind when you think of the Timex watch is not the same as when you think of a Rolex. So going quickly over to what the Bible talks about relative to some of this stuff, there's a particular scripture in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1. If somebody's got the Bible, you can turn it over and I'll save you the trouble. It says, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. And interestingly enough, the Hebrew word there for name is the word Shem. You guys might know that from Hashem, right? It's one of the Hebrew names for God, right? The name. And what it means there, it's very multidimensional. It means honor, it means authority, and character. So it's more than just like your name. There's depth to that meaning from a Hebrew perspective. So your name is your honor. It is your authority. It is your character. And when I say that about a brand and a brand's name, you literally mean that a brand is its name. It really embodies everything that comes along with it. So, both riches, silver and gold, in terms of Proverbs chapter 22, and an honorable reputation, which is the loving favor that it's talking about, their respect. Those are good. But if you have to choose between them, according to Solomon, you want to choose a good name. And Solomon's son, if you guys remember this, his son Rehoboam, he chose wealth in the form of charging higher taxes to the people, which really didn't make them too happy, rather than the love and the respect of his people. So he made the wrong decision when he became king to just tax the heck out of people so he could get all this money from it. And that's why he lost most of his kingdom. Very, very stupid move on his part. Now, with whom does one want to get a good reputation with? Other people, obviously. Good reputation is beyond just yourself, people outside of your immediate circle. You want to have a good reputation. And the Bible talks about this too. It says, elders need a good reputation towards outsiders. 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 7, as well as those inside of the church. A remarkable thing said of King David when he younger was that all of the people took notice of it and it pleased them, as everything that the king did pleased all the people. In 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 36. And then if you swing over to Acts, Paul always tried to have a clear conscience both towards God and his fellow man. Acts chapter 24, verse 16. So it is a mantra that you hear in the Bible repeatedly. Have a good reputation. Have a good reputation. Have a good reputation with God and with man. Now, the reason a good name is better than riches is, we ask ourselves that, why? Why is a good name better than riches? Well, in the end, we have to deal with God, clearly. You don't get to lie to him. Guaranteed when you die, they're gonna open the books and there's no fooling God. and I guarantee your money does not impress it. Okay, you don't get to say, hey, God, well, I had a fat bank account. It's like, not impressed. Don't care. that's not getting you a better seat. Doesn't work that way. So what the Bible actually does say is that he loves the upright man who fears him and who walks before his face. Our fate in this life and in the next rests in his hands anyway. So therefore, if you have to choose between a good reputation and wealth, you want to choose a good reputation, which is basically a proxy for keeping God's law. If you've got a good reputation, you're doing a bunch of stuff right in life that kind of keep you good with God. Now, what kills a good reputation? We can think of you can think of a lot of things, right? What slander does, sometimes for a lifetime and beyond. I guess that sort of murderous attack, we have little power, but one's own sin that becomes known also destroys your reputation, right? Like the stuff you do behind closed doors that you don't want people to know about, that gets out, that's going to kill your reputation. So cheating, lying, stealing, breaking your word, adultery, murder, witchcraft, all these things are essentially shortcuts to success that people do all the time, but they don't really tell people about it. Yes, sir.
Online gentleman said what kills a reputation is competition.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot of things people do to be competitive, right? And they're not always just, they're not always awful. I've worked with plenty of people over the years as an employee, and I say from a client perspective. I have the ability now that if I see a client is trying to undercut things in a way that's unlawful or immoral, we just want to do business with them. I can say, hey, I don't like that. We're going to go and do something else. But definitely,
Carlos wants you to do.
Yeah, Carlos, what do you want to do? Break the laws, but the thing is that essentially those things tend to be shortcuts to success, or shortcuts to things that we perceive as success, when they actually are not. Actually, just heard the story about this kid. He was like 13, 12 or 13, and him and his buddy wanted to run away from home, and they understood as kids that, well, if we do that, dad's gonna get mad. So he's our obstacle to running away and doing what we want. So that's the perception of success, right? We want to go do what we want. So they made it up in their head. They're like, let's bump that off, and then we get to go do what we want. So they did that. I don't know how they got their hands on a gun. They got their hands on a gun. They shot him, killed him, got in the car, took off, and then they're states away, driving on the highway. Some cop sees him, pulls him over. And it's like, hey, it's a little kid driving that car, and that's how everything unraveled. But the whole point is that murder for them and patricide, their own father, was a shortcut to success. So it seems fantastic, but yet it happens, right? Like in life, these things do happen, and all sin is a shortcut anyway. So it's a way to avoid God's law and the law of man, doing things the right way to get to where you're supposed to be. So going back to what Solomon was saying. He combines the matter of a good name and riches, because a common place where people cut corners is with money. They rob their employers, they stab their fellow workers in the back for promotions and bonuses. They skirt the law to improve profits. They cheat on their taxes. They'll pay their workers badly. They'll sell shopping products and services. All this stuff is shortcuts to making more money and padding their profit. But the price of doing that is a lot higher than what it sounds, because ultimately a good name is more desirable. Again, this is Proverbs 22, verse 1. A good name is more desirable than great wealth, and the respect of others is better than silver or gold. So we talk about a name. What is a name? You know, a name is not just the word itself, but rather the story, the narrative that comes with it, and that it reminds you. You know, so you think about, well, what's the story? You know, thinking, you know, name, I get it. What's the story behind it? So you think about a brand like, go back to it here. You think about a brand like Rolls-Royce, and you know, what is their story? You know, it's the narrative that they want to project, and you know, essentially they are a luxury brand. So you know, when you see Rolls-Royce, when you hear Rolls-Royce, that you know, the story they really want to come with that is that it is the ultimate and thriving luxury. And you know, it's definitely up there. Are they better? No, you know, it's definitely on the top list for sure. So that's not exactly their slogan, but they definitely want that narrative to be what's associated with their brand name. And it is. They've done a really good job of doing that. So here's something that's really interesting about premium brands. You know, one of the things that makes them premium is their price, obviously. And why? Why do you think that? Well, it's because we assume that if the cost is higher, that the product must be better, right? And that's not necessarily true. You know, that is definitely not always the case in many facets of the marketplace. But, you know, we have that perception. You know, if I say, hey, I got two widgets right here, and let's say they're exact same thing, manufactured with the same products from the same place. I say, okay, this is $10 and this was $1,000. Your perception is the one I told you is $1,000 is better somehow. May not actually be the case at all. So let me give you guys another example. Let's say somebody had a heart issue, right? They need to have some kind of surgery. So you're looking for a heart surgery. I guarantee you they're not going to go to Google and say cheapest heart surgeon in San Diego. Not I can guarantee you they're not even doing research. Like that's probably the one keyword phrase that's probably never ever been typed in. Not legitimate. Yeah, you get a Groupon, you get a discount, you know, sort of like that. And you really want that, right? Like when you think about certain things, you're like, I don't want to pay some quack. Like I need to, whatever that is, it should be top dollar for that service, right? You just assume that. So, you know, when somebody's looking for something like that, I guarantee you the type of thing for like best heart surgeon in San Diego, right? You know, you're looking for the quality of the thing, and you understand that that's probably going to command a higher price. And you would never try to undercut that. The guy saying, look, it's going to be $1 million. You're just like, okay, I'm going to go refinance my house or something because like it's just going to cost that much. And you're okay with it, and you should. You know, that's the way it works. Now, let's say you in this little heart surgery example I'm giving you, you know, let's say you find the best heart surgeon in San Diego, and you go in there, and they say, hey, we've got a great deal today. You came on the right day. We've got heart surgeries on sale today for $50. And you're like, I don't know, like something about that isn't right. Like you're gonna automatically assume something in the okay clean because you know it shouldn't be that ever for any reason. Like there's no way that should be possible. So that should actually tell you something a lot about human psychology just right there. Now, these are very fantastic examples, kind of laughable stuff, but it should tell you how the human brain really thinks about this kind of stuff, which is that price is that it is an automatic indicator of quality most of the time on face value, which is why premium brands end up charging premium prices, because if they didn't, you would doubt their quality. Day one, like off of face value alone, you're going to say, oh, okay, price is an indicator of quality, lower price or quality. You're already going to, you know, and you may do more research to find out other things, but that's what you're assuming. And interesting enough, you know, you guys have probably heard this before, you know, at least in my industry, you know, we have a saying about, you know, there's 3 things that are available. You can get 2 out of the 3, but you can't get all 3. You get something high quality, you can get something done really fast, then you get something done really cheap. You get 2 out of the 3, but you can't get all 3. So if you want something high quality and you want it done cheap, it's not going to be fast. Assuming that was even possible, but it is going to take a long time, slow burn, because you ain't going to, like, we're not even getting it because you're not paying enough for that to happen. So if you want something done cheap and you want it done real fast, it's not going to be high quality. they're gonna cut some corners. So like, hey man, like normally we put all this into it, we're not gonna be able to do that in the amount of time that you're asking for that to be done in, and the price that you're paying. Sorry, it's gonna be really shocking. And of course, if you want something that's really fast and you want high quality, it's not gonna be cheap. It's not the way that works, We actually had this, we had a project one time with a cybersecurity company here in town. We were building a new website, a custom website. And I didn't know this, but one of the executives that I was dealing with, he had some meeting, like early Monday morning meeting, and he was, I guess he had already told them he's walking in with whatever, designs, they've got some level of work that he wanted to show them, but we weren't quite there yet. So we had sent them some designs, earlier in the previous week, and it took all week to even get back to us. It was late Friday afternoon. I remember this very well. They finally get back and they're like, okay, hey, let's jump on a call. And, the marketing director and the executive were talking about, like, okay, what do you want done? We want these changes. We're like, okay, great. And he's like, how long is it going to take to get that done? I'm like, oh, about a week, And he's like, oh, I got a meeting Monday morning. Like, I need that done by Monday morning. I was like, oh, well, you should have responded sooner. Because you took all week just to get on a phone call. I don't know what you expect. Well, he's, he kind of, this is on a call. I say, he looked at me in my eye, we weren't in person. Basically just say, hey, Anton, you're the boss, right? You're the CEO of your company. I said, yeah, the butt stops with you. I was like, yeah. He said, well, what's it going to take? More money to get it done faster? And I said, well, yeah, but I still respect my team enough to ask them, what's it going to take? And you're going into a weekend, man. These people have families, man. I can't just I'm not a slave driver. He's like, well, make a call on it. He's like, what, half the time, twice the price?
It's a good start.
Sure. You guys kind of did the math. Like, yeah, sure, let's do that. So we did a rush order over the weekend, and we were able to deliver the changes that they wanted to go to the meeting Monday morning, and he had everything he needed. And I think, for that end of the project, it was a little over $1,000 for that particular element. And I think they ended up charging like $3,000 or something like that. So I was able to pay my team well for the extra work that they're doing and the time that they're taking away from their families and the weekend and all that. And of course, I had to take, my weekend and throw it out the window too, because I had to oversee the project. But it worked, it worked. So somebody who understood that, I'm asking for you to hurry something up. I still want it to be quality. I'm going to pay a premium price for it. So he, I love clients that do that. I love it. Feel free to do that with me anytime, guys. Anytime. Now, if you're for the best, nobody really expects you to be cheap. You don't expect to go to a Rolls Royce lot, they're selling those things for 5,000 bucks. That's not going to happen. And if you have that perception, you're very mistaken. So the brand is the name and the story behind that name, but there's more to it than that, right? We think symbology. We think logos, right? You think Rolls Royce. There's a certain symbol that comes to mind. Honda, there's a symbol that comes to mind when you think about that brand as well. So the brand name is a story, and when I say that name, think of a narrative. And when you see a symbol, it reminds you of the story, which reminds you of the name, reminds you of the brand, and sometimes their slogan or something related to it marketing wise. But a lot of times you also think of jingles, right? Like if they have some hot little tune they've got associated with that brand, it automatically comes to mind, right? Without even thinking about it. For some of us cats that have been around a little longer, we remember, jingles from Toys R Us. I don't want to go on the Toys R Us gate, you think of Folgers coffee. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup, for the younger cats, I remember the Chili's baby back ribs commercials. And these songs come to mind, and you're just you're in the moment, you're loving it. Yeah, I want to go get some ribs, and of course you can have some ribs. You got to put Mr. Mark Rondo's famous barbecue sauce on those ribs. Okay, so only I feel bad, right? I'm gonna go show you. Your sauce on my pocket. I gotta just what are you doing? I brought my own. I don't need your. This is the best sauce in town. So the slogan points back to the brand name, which points back to the story, which reminds you of the symbol, which points back to the brand name. This is kind of, very, very self-fulfilling prophecy, right? All these things point back to each other. So the question is, how do you turn the name of your business into a brand? Because it's more than just that name, right? How do you make your brand worth the prices that you want to command in the marketplace? And if we're talking about premium brands and premium prices, like how do you raise the bar, right? Well, there are some very specific ways that you can do that. And the Bible tells us about that a little bit in John chapter 1, specifically verses 1 through 5. And I'm going to read this for you guys real quick. I do not recall which version I'm doing. This could be NIV, I don't recall. It says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him, all things were made. Without him, nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness was not overcome, or has not overcome it, or did not perceive it. Different translations there. And, what do we learn from that scripture? Obviously that Jesus Christ is the Word that became flesh and dwelt among us and all of that, but there's an application from a branding perspective as well. And then actually, before I go down a little further, let me also jump over to verse 14, same chapter, John chapter 1, verse 14. It also says that the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. So when my word becomes my flesh, ergo, when I do what I say I'm going to do without excuse, without fail, that's one of the things that brings what we call glory. So when I do what I say I'm going to do, when I show up when I say I'm going to show up, when I've got what I say I was going to have when I get there, when I pay you what I say I'm going to pay you, the amount I say I was going to pay you, all these things factor into the equation. And your word becomes your bond, your word becomes your flesh, it manifests, it becomes a reality. And then you can actually dwell among the people that you gave your word to. It's really hard to promise somebody something you don't deliver and then try to see that person again. It's not working out for them. There's a movie called Bronx Tale that was done years ago, back in the 90s, Robert De Niro. There's this great scene where the kid who plays his son, Colosio, he's got some guy that owes him $20. They sees him on the street, and the guy sees him, he's like, hey, hey, hey. And the guy just takes off running the other way. And he's gonna go run after him. And the gangster, the mafioso guy that's like kind of his second dad almost, he sees him, and hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, oh, that guy owes me $20. He's like, that Bobby, I'm gonna knock his head. And he's just like, oh, man, leave it alone. Like, just let it go. Like, he's never gonna see you again. You're never gonna see him again. For $20, you got the guy out of your life. Just move on. But, it's a perfect example. Like, if you said, I was going to pay you back, and you don't pay a guy back, like, you can't even show your face to that guy. It really damages the reputation. So when your word doesn't become your flesh, you have to hide from the very people that you your word too. So going back to the scripture, it says that, the word became flesh and dwelt among us. And it doesn't say after that. It says, and we beheld his glory. And you think it's like his glory. What do we mean by that? Well, glory means high renown or honor won by notable achievements. So when your word is your character, it's who you are. So your name is your character, it's your authority, it's your honor. So when your word becomes flesh, people will behold your glory, and then and only then they begin to believe your story. So what happens a lot of times in today's society is a lot of people don't care about it. People say and do whatever they want. They expect their excuse to mean as much to you as it does to them. That is not the case. I got news for you, nobody really cares about your excuses. Nobody really cares. If someone says to you, well, the reason I didn't do X, Y, and Z was because of this, nobody's really going to care. The end result is that you didn't deliver, and they don't really care why. So, if you, going back to the Bible, this is the pool of Bethesda. You guys might know that one. Jesus comes across the lame man for 38 years. He might get to the pool. Jesus runs into him, and he's just like, "Hey, do you want to get healed?" And you would expect that guy first thing out of his mouth to say, "Yes, can I get healed?" That's not what he says, right? If you look at this is John chapter 5, verses 6 through 9. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" The man replied, "Sir, I have no one to help me to get into the pool. When the water is stirred, while I am trying to get in, someone else goes ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, get up, pick up your mat and walk. And at once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. So, like I said, you think you could say, yes, absolutely, heal me. But you think those would be the first words out of his mouth. It's not. He starts coming with all his excuses. First he says, everybody else's fault. He says, I have no one to help me to get into the pool when the water is stirred. He's basically saying that, like, my family, my friends have abandoned me. It should be their responsibility to help me if they're not fulfilling their part. Okay. And then he says, I'm doing the best that I can. While I'm trying to get in, someone else goes ahead of me. And that's true, right? Like, we're not doubting that he made some efforts and it just didn't quite work out. But lastly, he's kind of, he's basically saying other people are better than him. It's like they're getting there before me, and they're reaching that point before I can get there. And that might sound a little familiar because we do that a lot of times in life ourselves. We make a lot of excuses. We say, hey, if the government would have done X, Y, and Z, or if this people would have done this, that, or the third, things, I would have been better off. If I would have got my check from the government, I could have done this, or this would have worked. Like, we make all these excuses ourselves. Maybe not that often, but we do. You take a hard look at yourself. And the last thing we are not doing is looking in the mirror and saying, hey, look, that guy that's looking back at me, that reflection, there's some responsibility. There's something that I should be doing to affect this equation. And it's funny, going back to the scripture, you got to love our Lord and Savior's response. It's almost like he didn't even care what the guy said. He's like, yeah, right, okay, yeah, okay, right. He didn't even cut, he didn't give him any other words. He just cut straight to the chase. He said, get up, pick up your mat and walk. It's like he did not even hear everything else the guy said, right? He didn't say, oh, you poor little thing, let me come, grab a mat and come sit next to you for a little while, keep you company. Like, no, he's just like, hey, get up and get moving. But he was healed instantly. So he basically told him, it's like, hey, the thing that's been carrying you, it's time for you to carry you. Essentially, your excuses don't matter. Get up and rise to the occasion so you can fulfill your Heavenly Father's purpose for your life. Now, when we as entrepreneurs and business owners rise up to the level where our word becomes our bond, which is a type of covenant, if you think about it, where we'd rather die and honor the agreement rather than live in dishonor by not keeping our word, then and only then we'll be able to develop a brand that is the very personification of dependability, which will allow for us to command those premium prices. It's wonderful. And you ask yourself, well, what extra things can I do in serving my clients to give them that premium experience? Because ultimately you should be giving something more than, dependability is definitely worth a premium price, but we should be doing more than that. There's a brand called Davitt of New York. I bring this up because, all the rain we've gotten in San Diego lately, umbrellas are definitely something people are thinking about here. So these guys sell umbrellas. They sell very premium umbrellas, obviously out of New York. They've got a website, so you can go check it out. But they have something called their lifetime, or the forever guarantee, or the lifetime guarantee. And this is it. This is actual verbiage of it from their website. Their price ranges are from $59 to $350 for an umbrella, but they have this lifetime guarantee with every single one of them. So as you can see, like, anything goes wrong, now you do have to register your product. Like, you buy it, you register the warranty, you get all that stuff. But once you register it, you have this unconditional lifetime guarantee. So if your umbrella should ever fail to function properly at any time for any reason whatsoever, we will gladly repair or replace it for free. Exception. They are a premium brand. This is why they can charge $350 for an umbrella that you would normally spend $10 on most places, right? But they're giving their word that, as long as it's a registered product, they're going to replace that bad word for free for life. Okay, that's top shelf. Okay, that's definitely where the action is. So let me give you another. Try to run this real quick. Another biblical example here in Genesis chapter 12. It says, the Lord was talking to Abram, who is Abraham. And by the way, Abram, obviously that's his name before it became Abraham, before the covenant was made with him and God. The name Abram in Hebrew actually means high father. But the problem is that this guy couldn't have kids, but his name says high father. Like, his very name is the opposite of what is really going on in his life. So it's got to be very embarrassing, right? So, in this chapter, the Lord said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you. Whoever curses you, I will curse. Lord said, I'll make your name great. And that word in Hebrew right there is that Hebrew word Shem. So it's interesting that, God said, I'm going to make your name great. And, why do I say that? Because, like I just said, Abram meant high father, and he didn't have children. So, he's talking about doing something that he is physically not able to do or hasn't been able to do. So, you got to think every time he heard his name, somewhere in his head, or, maybe behind the corner or something, people like, oh yeah, Abram, high father, like he ain't got no kids. Whether it was actually happening or not, doesn't matter. In his own head, he's thinking like, my name is high father, and I got one kid. That's got to be very embarrassing, right? So God's telling him, like, hey, I'm going to help you solve that problem and then some. And he said that essentially, I'm going to take the source of your shame and I'm going to make it the source of your fame. Straight up, that's an awesome promise from God. Take a quick talk of 1 Kings chapter 4, verse 31. Speaking of King Solomon, he said, who was wiser than anyone else, including Ethan the Hezrite, wiser than Haman, Calpol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol, and his fame spread to all the surrounding nations. So, guess what? That Hebrew word there for fame, it's the same word, Shem. Same word. Fame, name, same word. So, what you want to do is you want to become a person that when somebody says your name, or one of your clients says your name, when they're talking about you, they've got these stories to tell, it magnifies, amplifies, and multiplies your fame. That's a brand. The results that you get for your clients. It's not the amount of money you make. People should know you by the bending over backwards you're going to do for your clients. It's the way you will inconvenience yourself so that they aren't inconvenienced. These are the things that go into really establishing a brand, more notably so, a premium brand. So when you do that, just as the Bible is telling us, it's gonna manifest in no weapon being formed against you will prosper. Because what happens is when your word becomes your flesh, you'll be able to dwell among the people that you've given your word to. They will behold your glory, they'll believe your story, and your good name will expand to the surrounding nations. So God can turn your business into a brand. If you don't misrepresent him, he will not allow you to be misrepresented. He won't let this happen. So become a person of honor, be a person who keeps your word. And the scripture says in Psalm chapter 15, Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent? Who may live on your holy mountain? The one whose walk is blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to a neighbor, and casts no slur on others, who despises a vile person, but honors those who fear the Lord, who keeps an oath even when it hurts, and does not change their mind, who lends money to the poor without interest, who does not accept a bribe against the innocent. Whoever does these things will never be shaken. That means when you give somebody your word, even if it ends up costing you money, even if it ends up inconveniencing you, even if it ends up costing you pain, even if it ends up costing you time or whatever, if you gave somebody your word, you'll do everything that you said you would do, and they can expect that of you. So one of the things that we can do as I wrap this up here is we just want to be more like God. And the way we can do that is by keeping our word. Because one of the names of God, if you guys remember this, is the God who cannot lie. So if we can get on that level and be just more men and women of our word, our brands, we can put them on that level and always come through the way that we say we will. And then some, under promise, over deliver. It's a great way to do that. Then, we'll become entrepreneurs that people will know of us before we can get there. That, hey, this guy, this girl, this brand, they're the real core, they're the truth. They say they're going to do something every single time. Now that's what you want to be. You want to be the business owner, the husband, the wife, the father, the mother, the brother, the friend that cannot lie. That depend on you like they can depend more than they can depend on their next breath. And that is how you develop a truly premium brand.
Anton, that was amazing. Wow. Who wants to be like that? Like one of the basketball players yesterday from Arkansas. Okay, they watched this tournament. Arlene,
I just have a question for Anton. What was that last scripture that you quoted about integrity?
I think it was Psalm 15. I have, this document will be available for download, so all the scripture references are in there. But again, the last scripture I quoted here was Psalm chapter 15. No problem.
okay, thanks so much, Anton. Next week, Lisa Maria speaking. Okay, looking forward to that.
Epigenetics,
And
epigenetics, how to get favorable gene expression so we don't have to live sick.
wow,
Science class.
fantastic. Okay, all right, watch it on the Zoom, you don't want to miss that one. All right,
Should I bring my own petri dish or?
pray us out.
Okay. Our God and our Father, we thank you, Father, for an opportunity to come together as believers in fellowship, to learn, to glean from your word, and to take that learning and apply it to the marketplace. Father, we know that the word says that, you know, you are not a man that you cannot lie. So we definitely know that everything that the word tells us is true. You yourself are a man of your word. So we thank you, Father, for giving us a blueprint that we can follow and we can aspire to so that we can be men and women of ours. We bless you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Seven exciting days.
For some of our basically, we're not talking. For some of our